Magic here. I'm going to be doing some more Obs Casting just for some practice and whatnot. Really tired today. I didn't think I'd actually be able to cast today, but I found some time, so we're going to be doing that. Let me just tell everybody I am going to be casting all this good stuff. Alright. Turn on my mic volume, get everything rolling and set up. Whatever, that's fine. Alright, so we have Mr. Ghost spawning as our yellow Protoss player. And of course, since this is Obs, I don't really know everybody, or anybody that's in here, I should say. Apparently they were saying Muffins is Masters though, so if he plays, hopefully we'll see a good game. He is in apparently VVV. I'm not quite sure what that stands for, but I've seen it before. It's a recognizable team. Anyways, his yellow here is, oh yeah, Ghost. His opponent is Fail-O-Matic, spawning as our orange Terran, spawning at the 12 o'clock here. And looks like both players kind of happily mining away, building some pylons. Supply depot should be going down shortly. There it is. Now, you don't really have to wall off against Protoss, but it does help if you deny him some scouting with that probe. If the wall off is complete in time, then the probe can't get in there, see the gas, see what structures are going on at the top of the ramp, and all that stuff. So, it does help out quite a bit. I mean, to just have your opponent not know what's going on means he doesn't know if you're expanding, doesn't know really what to do with the situation. So I mean, it is a big deal, and I think a lot of people understand that already. Anyways, the first SCV scouting looks like he went to the fast ground. Looks like the probe here actually going to the fast air position. Kind of a strange scout, but he is going to get there first. I don't know. Generally, you go to the fast ground just because you'll get to that location faster than you'll get to this one. But anyways, it looks like 3 SCVs being pulled off, going to be attacking that probe. And the probe really not even... oh, now he's kind of moving away. I'm going to be running around as much as possible, trying not to die so he can live as long as possible to get as much information as he can. But the probe looks like he is going to go down there. And, well, he did deny some valuable mining time, so I would not say that orange here is better off killing that or not. But he did deny yellow from seeing that refinery, so it is kind of a big deal. It's kind of a trade-off. You trade killing it off so he doesn't see the refinery for the fact that you didn't have that mining time. That mining time was probably at least 50 minerals worth. So I mean, it is kind of a big deal that he did take all 3 off. I could probably just as easily killed it off with just 2. If he sees the refinery, it's not the end of the world. But again, it does help out. Anyways, it looks like the Cybernetics core is being chronoed out here. Looks like he did spend a lot of it on the Nexus, so it's probably not going to be a 4-gate. If it is going to be a 4-gate, then it's going to be a little bit late. That won't be a big deal. But I don't know. It really depends on how good these players are. If Orange has enough guys out in time, if he's able to just spend his money on units and whatnot, or if he just does a bad strategy, then of course it's going to be really strong. All right, doing a good job putting that supply depot up so that probe is not going to get in there. He is going to take a couple of extra hits going back in there from that Marine to scout that second barracks. And he's returning back to base. He definitely should not lose his second probe. I mean, he already lost 1 already, and losing 2 would kind of be a big issue. If it's pretty much for nothing. I mean, the first one was a reasonable loss. The second one would definitely not be. So, I mean, you really don't want to lose it. So, he did return back. There's a command center that's going to be going down here for Fail-O-Matic. Initially you can use this for some extra SCVs, but you can use it to expand eventually, which is generally what you do. Otherwise, you can just expand right away if he thinks it's safe enough. So, if it's not safe enough and he does it, then it's just not going to be, it's going to be really risky. And if Protoss goes in there and attacks, then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So, we'll see if he expands with that or not. Anyways, it does look like Ghost is adding on 2 more gateways here. Another pylon, so it looks like just like a 3-gate expand for right now. He does have both gases, so I believe he's going to be adding on a lot of sentries from now on. Just build up that energy, and then if Terran attacks, and you can do a lot of good force fielding and make sure they don't don't kite you all day long. Kite zealots, because that is a big issue for Protoss. I mean, the zealots and Protoss against Terran is mainly just to absorb the damage while the stalkers deal it and the sentries make it so they can't run away, and that helps out very significantly, especially the force fielding and whatnot. But if he can kite, then if he doesn't have enough sentries, then the Terran player can kite all day long, and he's pretty much going to be losing everything. I mean, Marauders with the concussive shells means that, you can kite pretty darn easily, especially against melee units like the Zealot. Anyways, it looks like Terran is in on 3 more barracks here, so he's going very heavy infantry. Sorry, I'm just kind of talking to my friend EP Mist. We were doing some fours last night. It was a lot of fun. We might do some more fours a little bit later on. If that's the case, if he decides to play some more with us, then I'm going to stop casting because I don't cast very well while playing, so I mean, it just doesn't work out. I'd get too easily distracted and just play horribly, so... anyways, it looks like Orange is going to be expanding now. Not going to be building SVs out of it first, just plopping it down right away. Just kind of defending with a couple of Marauders and a Marine, and just powering up at the same time. So I do believe this is very risky, just to power up, set up a big expansion, and just not have enough guys to defend. I mean, if Yellow attacked right now with a whole bunch of gateway units, he'd be in a lot of trouble. It looks like he's not going to. He does have that Robox facility with an Immortal coming out. Wow, we only lost 1 game last night. That's pretty awesome. But anyways, Ghost's just going to be sitting here, possibly setting up an expansion soon, or just kind of waiting for a bunch of guys with that Immortal. Once you get that tech out, it's kind of like a nice timing to go in there with your tech units to attack, because I mean, the tech units are going to be stronger with, assuming you have enough support, and you can easily outdo your opponent if he's doing something like expanding. But since he's powered up, since Orange here has powered up pretty well, he's going to be able to probably defend it pretty easily by the time it gets there. Anyways, it is actually on the way now that first Immortal is out, so actually this might be a good timing. But, with all these barracks finished with all their add-ons, I mean, that's a lot of Marines. There's 3 reactors here. That's 6 Marines popping out at the same time. That is a lot. I mean, assuming he can use them all. I mean, plus the 2 extra ones with the tech labs for the Marauders and upgrades, of course. And Stim's actually going to be finishing very shortly, so I mean, Yellow has a very small window here. I mean, it looks like he even has some hallucinated Colossi, and that's going to be a huge deal. But now you can tell that's hallucinated. Okay, the Colossus obviously didn't have a death actor, or it didn't look like it died. It just vanished. So I mean, it's hallucinated. I'm sure he knows about that. But anyways, it looks like Protoss actually going to be able to do quite a bit of damage here. Just Diplomatic not building enough Marines and things out of his barracks in time. And, well, Ghost might be getting the game right now. Looks like Diplomatic does give the GG. I was just about to say that he does not have the Orbital Command nor a Planetary Fortress there, which would have helped a lot, but why did I check? I don't want to play. Don't want to play right now. So we'll see who ends up playing Ghost. Ghost doesn't look like he's the best player in the world, but I mean, this is Obs, of course. We'll see if someone takes him out or not. And, well, there's a lot of people queued up here, so hopefully we'll get a good one next. And we'll have some good games. Alright, Ghost against JXP, who plays Terran apparently. Alright, so Ghost has spawned at the 6 o'clock as our Yellow Protoss once again. His opponent is Mr. JXP, spawning as our Teal Terran player at the 3 o'clock here. So they are close ground positions. Now, when you're in the close ground position in this matchup, it's a little bit harder to expand. I mean, it's just, you get your unit, I mean, if you're attacking that expansion, if you set up an expansion, obviously you have less units, which means it's harder to defend it. And in these close positions, that attack comes a little bit sooner than in the last, last thing, because Protoss was here, could just walk over here, and actually got there at a really good time, right when the stem was just finishing up. So he actually timed it out really nicely compared to the other build. I'm not sure if he really knew, like, oh, my opponent's going to be getting stemmed now, so I'm going to be attacking now before he gets it. But it's just kind of the way it worked out. Just doing a good job of doing that, or I don't know if it was all luck or if he, planned it any way, shape, or form. Anyways, it looks like Protoss is actually going to be walling off this time, getting up the gateway right at the choke there. This is something I would not suggest against Terran, just because Terran can, well, tanks and whatnot. I mean, Marauders can kill off these buildings quite quickly, and tanks can as well. You know, they're considered armored. I mean, I think all buildings are considered armored. I would kind of want to find a build. No, here's Supply Depot. Well, I guess the Supply Depot's armored. Um, but yeah, Marauders do twice as much damage against armored, so I mean, they can take them out pretty easily, and it's kind of hard to defend a ramp as as Protoss or Terran against one, you know, the other player, because well, if you have a building here and a building here, you're not going to have a lot of units that are able to attack units that are down here that are threatening these buildings. So I mean, that is actually a pretty big thing there. Looks like that critter, Lax's critter, blocked the ramp, so that it died, and that's the carcass right there. Kind of unfortunate, because critters are awesome. I just can't disrupt the game in any shape or wait, what? Shape or form, I guess, I don't know. In any way, because then you just die, and that's what happened. Anyways, looks like JXP putting on 2 refiners. This is totally not good. I just want to say that because he only has 1 guy in each one, and you really don't need a second one if you only have 2 guys mining. Okay, now he's putting more guys in. But the thing is, you also don't need 2 gases this early. It's only 3.5 minutes in, and I mean, he has 1 barracks. He's, you know, should get a factory up slightly quicker, but I mean, it's not going to be a huge thing. It looks like he's even putting down a bunker, so I believe he is going to be teching up here, getting a factory, possibly a starport, maybe even going like a battlecruiser rush. I would not be surprised whatsoever. Anyways, back at Protoss's base, it looks like he is completely walling in here. He does have 2 more gates being added onto this first one. This first one not building any units. Looks like no warp gate tech. Now it's just being started, so that warp gate tech is going to be chrono boosted out. It looks like he does have some chrono boost saved up for it, so he might be able to do a 4-gate here. This is something I wouldn't actually suggest, just because in the close position, it's kind of like, okay, your opponent is probably thinking about aggression. I mean, as Terran, I would be thinking about aggression. Like, I'm gonna, you know, he's in a close position, I should be aggressive. And with the 4-gate, it doesn't matter how far away your opponent is, because, I mean, you're warping guys in at the pylon that is at his base. So, I mean, that doesn't even matter. So, I mean, you can 4-gate in any position, and it'll be the exact same effectiveness. Well, looks like Terran, since he is teching, he's not going to be aggressive whatsoever. He's actually added on 2 factors. Now, this is very unusual because you don't really see a lot of mech play against Protoss, but it is kind of swinging back into favor, so more players are getting more mech against Protoss. But you do have to worry about Immortals. I mean, that's kind of why players don't get factories against Protoss, because Immortals just take it, you know, they can reduce that. I forget how much damage from a tank. I think it's like 70 damage from a siege tank that's sieged up. Reduce it to 10, and that's like nothing by comparison. That's 1/7 of the, you know, full damage. So I mean, it's kind of a. It looks like another crit just died. A little too much of a block on that ramp. I'm not sure, oh, that's why I don't see it. But however, you can use the tank's focus fire on the stalkers and whatnot. They're awesome against stalkers. They do huge amounts of splash damage against armored units like the Stalker, and you know, they're not the best against Zealots, but you know, since Zealots are not the fastest unit in the world, and their melee, you know, it does take them a while to get to the tanks, and Marines and whatnot can pick them off quite easily, especially with concussive shell. You know, Marauders with concussive shell can slow them down very significantly, and then the tanks will survive. So looks like both factors just going straight to tank tech, getting the siege mode right away. And maybe even doing an early push with these tanks. Now, of course, since he wins 1 barracks into 2 factory, and I guess it does make sense that he got the 2 refineries really fast. But, you know, it did leave a big window of opportunity for Protoss to get in there and do some real damage. So, I mean, I would not say this was the best thing, just because it was kind of risky. I mean, if Protoss really decided to go in there and attack, he could have done a lot of serious damage. And that's really the thing about a lower level play. You know, there's a lot of things players don't consider like that, and you know, they say, oh, you know, you can just scout it and whatnot and find out. But in Protoss against Terran, you're constantly building military units. You know, it's kind of like, okay, you can attack at any time he really wants to. So I don't know. It just seems kind of a weird thing to do. Not really the best play in the world. Anyways, it looks like Ghost here just kind of sitting back behind his wall. Looks like a couple of Zealots in the front. 3 critters just kind of running back and forth. Everyone in the Obs are just kind of having fun with that. And, well, since it is a wall off, these